Welcome to Phoenix Masonry Live,
a show about Masonic museum artifacts,
interviews,
Masonic history.
and much more.
I am Frederick L. Milliken, Executive Director of Phoenix Masonry.
And I am Elena Llamas, Director of Public Relations for Phoenix Masonry.
And we are here to
Celebrate
our Freemasonry.
celebrando nuestra francmasonería.
And we have with us to celebrate this day, concert pianist Hando Nakhur. Hando, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Fred. It's great to see you. Hi, Elena.
Hi. Well, thank you for coming. We're very
Yes.
excited to have you here.
It's great to be here.
It's great to have you here. And today we're going to celebrate the talent of concert pianist Hando Nakhur. Now, Hando, I've been to some of your concerts in person, and I've seen your talent firsthand. Awesome talent. I remember a couple of concerts, one with Liszt, and the other with that you did Rachmaninoff Piano Concerto No. 3.
Right.
And seeing him in person was really quite something. So what Elena's going to do here now is set us up with a little bit of that near the end of Rachmaninoff Piano Concerto No. 3, and we're all going to watch it, after which we'll resume our interview.
So we can all get the idea of Hando's talent.
And that was Hando Nakhur, Rachmaninoff Piano Concerto No. 3. And that was quite the show, Hando.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, looking at it now, also, I kind of, feel like getting warm again because, I remember it was I would say, a very hot moment, to play that concerto. So I kind of feel the feeling right now as well. Always going to look at it. So,
well, getting into your personal history, Hando, you were born in Tallinn. Is that how I pronounce that? It's a city, Tallinn.
Very good. Yes, Tallinn.
Tallinn,
yeah.
Estonia. Tell us about your hometown. How big is it? What is it like?
Well, it's not very big. It has about 500,000 people, Tallinn, and the whole country, of course, of Estonia is very small because the whole country has only 1 million people. So half of the population lives in the capital, which isn't very big. So, and it's a great place, and I like that it's not so big because I enjoy the fact that everything was kind of close there when I lived there, and it was very easy to get around. And of course, just the city has so much history, and I think that's the thing that makes it very special. It's very small, but a lot has happened there, throughout history. So it's a very neat place.
Yes. Your family is still there. Do you visit often?
Yes, family is still there. I do visit often. I mean, often. I don't know if you can call twice a year often, but I try to go as often as possible. And, for years already, it's been more or less like twice a year, Christmas and summer.
You grew up in Estonia, which we know. Did you travel often to Finland or other Scandinavian countries?
I did. I was lucky, when I was young. Already then, I had a chance to start traveling around with some orchestras, both as a soloist and just a member of orchestras, playing piano parts in different orchestra pieces. And, that gave me many opportunities already at that time, to do some traveling in the area. Yeah, many countries, Sweden, Finland, Denmark, and other places in Europe. So yeah, I did already then. Yeah, when I was quite young, lots of traveling and travel with different orchestras.
Well, can you tell us, just briefly, a little bit about the culture, lifestyle, and customs of Estonia?
Well, what can I say?
I know that's a big thing to do all in one little brief sentence, right?
I know it is. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just, I think, a little bit different as is every country. And, people there, I think, are very friendly, and you have to just get to know them because in general, in that area, I think the entire Scandinavian line there, it's just different. I think when you meet people in the beginning, you might sense that, they're maybe a bit cold or kind of distant. But anyway, it's a cold area in general, so maybe that's where it's coming from. So, but once you
Hello, can you
get
hear
to know
me?
people.
Okay,
Hello?
now
Yes?
we lost Elena for a minute.
No, something happened. This is our second time live, and yes, we encountered a problem now when I showed the video. We apologize to the audience for that. I could hear you, and I was wondering why you kept talking over me until I figure out what was happening. And
Welcome back, Yelena.
Thank you. I will be working on getting my image back up, and I don't mean to interrupt you. You can go on with the conversation, and I'll join in.
Do you want to take it from here, Elena, or do you want me to?
Yeah, sure. I wanted to explain to the audience something that is more than obvious at this point. With the guests that we've had so far, we've had Masons who could do directly Masonic work. And one of the things that caught our attention about Hando is that he said, wait a minute, I'm a Mason and I'm also a musician, but I'm not necessarily, just playing Masonic music. And we thought this is a fantastic opportunity to show what talent there is in Freemasonry. And of course, we will get into your Masonry, Hando, and Masonic composers that you play, like Mozart, which I'm sure you know lots about. And so I wanted to mention that. And also, I noticed in the clip that we showed, and I am not going to risk showing another clip right now. Is that a school where you were performing?
No, this is actually the theater in Irving.
Oh, okay. This is Texas?
Yes, this is in Irving. I think it's called the cultural center of Irving. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Where Did you talk about Estonia? I heard that much.
Yeah,
before
right,
I left.
We did, but there's one thing that I wanted to say about that Rachmaninoff concerto is that if you look at it, Hando, everybody has music in front of them, but you don't. And I mean that's about an hour piece to play, and you did that all from memory. My gosh, how did you manage to do that? I mean, how many hours of practice did that take?
Well, it took a lot, of course, especially talking about this concerto because it's huge, and you know, it is considered by almost all you know pianists, I think, in the world as one of the most difficult piano concertos of all times. It's interesting, you know, musicians usually disagree about many things, and this is one thing everybody really agrees about, that it is the most difficult piano concerto in the world, and obviously it takes lots of time to prepare that concerto for a performance. And my case with it was also different because in a way I didn't have a chance to learn it much earlier in my life. So in a way I got this invitation from Irving to perform it there at their theater, and then basically started at that point with the concerto. And this was about 1 year or so, before the performance. So, and that's the thing also I had heard from other pianists who have played this piece, that, you know, if you haven't played it before, then be prepared. It's going to take a year or so to put this thing together. And anyway, and I must say that that's what it was, more or less. Yeah, I didn't need that full year. Of course, I had little breaks here and there, but basically, it took about a year to really make the concerto ready and memorize it and play it.
Wow.
Well, Elena, we were just about to add, we were just in the process. We did some stuff on Estonia, asking about his musical family. So if you want to take it from there.
Yeah, you started out performing as a teenager. I have to mention, at 15, you made you performed with the Estonian National Opera Orchestra, and at 16 with the Estonian National Symphony Orchestra. How was that at that young age to be? I imagine these were all adults you were playing with.
Absolutely. I mean, it was, of course, amazing, at the same time very challenging, you know, because suddenly I was invited to perform with these great orchestras. This was, of course, after I had won some competitions in Estonia and in Europe. So obviously then I guess, these orchestras somehow noticed me and were interested in, performing together. And then I was like, wow, this is really awesome. And what a great honor, really, to play with these mega orchestras of Estonia while being so young. But, at the end, of course, it was challenging, but I was ready for the challenge, and I think I had an experience. Yeah, it was great.
Awesome. And then at what age did you come to the United States?
I was then 21.
Oh, wow. And you came here for school?
Yes.
It
studies.
was interesting. Well, you have a lot of degrees you have 5 degrees from 4 universities in the United States.
Too many.
I know. Well, and too many, and from really highly regarded music schools. We're talking about Yale School of Music, New England Conservatory of Music, Texas Christian University School of Music, and SMU, Southern Methodist University, Meadows School of the Arts. So how many, do you know how many years off the top of your head of study you have?
Well, talking about post high school studies, then it's been basically, about 14, 15 years, really. 5 degrees, obviously, it has taken some time, but, they've been very different degrees because some of them were arts diplomas, and it hasn't been really all the time like, attending classes and being like really physically at school. 3 programs out of 5 have been, really these high-level artist programs, meaning that they've been based on, performances, concerts, and practicing, and really just, the thing I'm doing anyway all the time, except it's been like connected to different universities. So, but in general, it's been a long road, and of course, I've been very privileged to have that opportunity to attend so many great music schools and universities in America.
Yes, that's fantastic, and we hear you speak with an accent. Did you speak and write English before you came here?
I did, but I think it would be really funny to hear me talking, about 14 years ago or so, because I think, it sounded very different. I did speak, but of course, I had to learn a lot because I could, just say the very, very basic things. And when I got here, I remember it was a very difficult time, especially the first few years, just not only because I found it difficult to communicate with people in general. No, that was also a little bit difficult because I just felt I couldn't express myself. Accent is one thing, but the thing is that if you don't have enough words, you just can't express yourself. You can't make jokes, whatever. It was very, very difficult. And very often it was like, oh my goodness, I should say now this word, and I just couldn't remember, didn't know what the word was. So I again missed some parts of the conversation. Yeah. It was kind of funny. I was taken with humor, of course, at the same time, so it wasn't too bad. But the difficult thing was, of course, this university language, which was completely different and way more complicated than regular English because, all these paperworks and things you have to do, when you enter this university world, all these different things like, signing up for classes and, right. Getting advice and stuff like that. You face that kind of language, then you realize, my goodness, wow, it's completely different. And plus also, actually class language is very different when you're listening to lectures, how to make notes, how to catch it when it's all new to you. So it was very challenging. But I remember like after 2-3 years, I started to feel like, wow, okay, now I'm getting somewhere, and now I'm feeling like more settled with stuff. So
awesome. Well, a lot of your studies at least are in notes, right? It's music. So I know that you have music history and a lot of talking, but at least some of it is music. So you are going to receive a DMA, a Doctor of Musical Arts. This is a PhD in music, basically?
Correct, yes. And I'm working on it right now. And I can say right now here live that this is for sure the very last program I'm doing. So
the last degree you're getting. Yay.
No more studies after that. Absolutely. 120%.
Well, what comes after that?
Well, I don't know. Maybe another program. No, just kidding. No, for sure I'm done with studies because definitely, it's been great. But now, I feel like, it's time to move on then to other things. And that's the last one I'm doing. After that, we'll see. I mean, in music, what keeps it interesting in a way is the fact that you never know what tomorrow brings. And I in a way like that, of course, you have to know some certain things. Yes, I mean, not like it's all this way that, you know nothing about what's coming next or so. Of course, certain things, stuff like that, but still bigger things, things can change quickly. And I just have seen that a lot in my life. So again, I don't know. I'm not making plans like that far ahead in the future. So I think we'll see. I think whatever will come is going to be connected with music, and that's what I'm working on. And then whether it's going to be here or somewhere else, we will see. In a way, today I do have, 2 homes. So I call America my home and I call Estonia my home. So in a way, I'd like to be, here and there and do different things. At the same time, I'm very flexible, and wherever I have things to do, and as long as they're connected to great music making, I'm very happy.
Excellent. Well, let's talk about your Freemasonry, shall we?
Sure.
That sounds like a good idea. But one thing before you leave the subject of Estonia, you have a talented family. Tell me about your brothers and sisters and your mother and father and what they play.
Well, I have 2 sisters, and my parents still live in Estonia. One of my sisters lives in Estonia, and my older sister lives in Germany. And yes, we are all musicians. So this is interesting because there aren't that many families where you have everybody making music all the time. So my parents are piano teachers. My mom teaches more younger kids. My dad is a professor at the Estonian Academy of Music. So it's interesting also in them, you have this combination of things. So really, my mom kind of teaches very young kids up to high school level, and then my dad continues from there. So in a way, they kind of cover the whole spectrum, of piano teaching. And then, my twin sister who lives in Estonia, she plays the violin. And my older sister in Germany, she's a pianist. And she's teaching a lot. And so, we do different things. And we're all connected to music. My twin sister plays in the National Symphony Orchestra of Estonia and owns her own string quartet. My parents, of course, don't perform anymore that much. My dad sometimes does that. Mainly they teach. But, all different things. And that's great about music that, you you can at some point in your life perform, and then you can teach, or you can play in an orchestra. You do so many different things, but then all things are connected to music, and that's what we do. So
excellent. Well, I was showing some photographs of you and Frederick. He's seen your concerts, like he was mentioning before.
Yeah, my biggest fan, right? So
yes, and I'll mention now that link below on this video, as soon as we get off air, I'm going to link an article that Frederick wrote about Hando, and that goes more into detail into what he does.
So Hando, tell us how you happened to become a Freemason.
Well, it's an interesting story. It happened already many years ago, and it was at the time when I lived in Boston, Massachusetts, because I went to school there, New England Conservatory of Music. And basically, you know, at some point, I remember this very well, I was invited to attend a concert because I heard there was a great orchestra playing in Lexington, and it wasn't very far from Boston. You know, Fred, you know Boston, right? It's very easy to get around there.
I was born in Lexington.
And I heard, okay, the concert, exactly, right? So yeah, you might know something about it. So anyway, and then I heard about this concert. I was like, okay, I want to go to hear it because, you know, I was trying to attend as many concerts as possible because, you know, it's my life, you know, to play and hear concerts. And so then I went to this concert, and this took place at the National Heritage Museum in Lexington. And I know, you know, I mean, I knew at that time they had a good concert hall there, and I was just going there like to a regular concert, you know, in a concert hall. And then I remember I was kind of walking around, and I think it was during the intermission in the museum. And then I was looking around. I was there with a few friends who actually, of course, were local people. I mean, Estonian background, but living in Boston. And I was walking around with them and just, you know, looking around. And then I remember, you know, noticing all these, you know, pictures there in the museum and all these symbols and, you know, guys wearing aprons on pictures and stuff like that. And I was a little bit like, okay, so what's that and what's going on? And it's kind of interesting. And I'm always, you know, very curious about different things and just in general curious about life. And always I like to ask questions and things like that. So, and then of course I asked my friends because they were like locals, you know, so what is this all about? And what are these pictures and so many symbols here and these aprons and all these things? And then they told me that these are Masons, you know, and gave me a quick overview of what it is and what the fraternity is and so on. Of course, I had heard a little bit about, you know, the tradition and about this fraternity existing and, you know, guys coming together every now and then and just, you know, enjoying good fellowship and stuff, but not much. And anyway, and then at that point, I got that little introduction to, you know, to their the traditions and how they get together and how long they've been around and all these things. And I was like, okay, this is very interesting. And wow, you know, I'd like to know even more about it. And this is, yeah, exciting. And then I remember this friend of mine told me that, oh, hey, but I know a guy. And I actually knew that I had another friend in Boston. So our mutual friend, basically. But of course, I had just met this other friend. So I just knew him. But then this friend at the museum told me, okay, look, this guy, you know him, right? I said, yes, you know, I met him a few times, a great guy. And so, and then he said, okay, look, he's a Mason. So if you want to know more about that, don't ask me, talk to him. And then I was like, okay, got it, cool, I'll do that. And then I went home, I had his email address, and the first thing I did, I emailed him saying, okay, look, I went to this museum, saw these interesting things, and then heard from a mutual friend that you're a Mason. So tell me a bit more about it. So what is this thing and what's happening? So that's how it started.
So you asked. Yeah.
So yeah, I just started to feel very curious about it because I'm a curious person in general, and then I was like, okay, this is interesting. You know, I want to know more about it. So
excellent.
So what do you do in lodge right now, Hando?
Well, I'm a large musician actually in Fort Worth 148 here close to Dallas. So anyway, and yeah, I mainly, of course, play music there and just, you know, meet my brethren there. So unfortunately, you know, my schedule in these days is just so crazy that I don't have too much time to visit the lodge. But I do my best, you know, to be there as much as possible. And whenever I go, I try to, you know, yeah, play something and just, you know, be there as much as possible.
Excellent.
So are you a member of any side or appendant bodies?
I am, yes. I'm a member of Scottish Rite Dallas.
And you have performed in the degrees, right? Elena, I think we have a picture of him.
Oh, yeah. Let me get him.
His Scottish Rite, performing in his Scottish Rite degree.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, I've done that, and I love that. It's been very, very interesting and exciting.
So, Hando, are you familiar with? Well, can you tell us?
There you
Check it out.
go.
Yeah, there's the
Yeah,
picture.
yeah. Well, let's start
Yeah.
first. And so you are the one on the very left.
Yeah, this is our legendary degree team.
Excellent, excellent. Love it.
Yeah, I've loved this, and again, I just wish I would have a bit more time, for all these things, because in Mason, there's so many things that are going on, so many meetings, get-togethers, events. I just wish I would have a bit more time, to be active in all these things. But I do what I can, and Fort Worth 148 also, it's located in Fort Worth. I mean, it's not too far from Dallas, but still, it's another town. It's not like it's around the corner. But I'm glad really that Dallas, Scottish Rite is very close here, and I do always, my best to attend all the reunions, and then participate in degree work and other things as much as possible.
So where would you like to go with your Masonic career? Perhaps be a worshipful master when your studies are finished?
Why not? Why not? That would be cool, right?
Yeah,
Absolutely. I mean,
absolutely.
a lot, and exactly, just go forward and just do more things. But again, I'm just hoping that one day, definitely, when I'm done with my studies, just have a bit more time, because Fred, that in a way you have to be able to be present, and just participate, and then you can do different things. But sometimes I just find it difficult to find time to attend all the meetings and stuff. But I'd love to one day to kind of, when I'm more settled, with my exactly studies and the schedule in general, I'd love to have that opportunity to kind of be more active and do different things in the lodge, and who knows, maybe even
We're looking at a picture of lodge number 148 Fort Worth, where I visited with you, Hando. That's
there we are.
a group. Okay.
Yeah, that's Fort Worth 148.
Wow. Well, Hando, getting back into your music, are you teaching now?
I am, yes.
Where are you teaching?
Well, at the moment I'm teaching at UNT, actually, because it's part of my DMA program.
Oh, so are you okay?
Yeah, I mean, they're a teaching fellowship program, and that means I'm studying there and I'm teaching at the same time.
Well, so in addition to your lodge work and your studies and your teaching there, you also are the musical director for a big church in Dallas.
Exactly.
Tell us about that.
Well, yeah, it's interesting you mentioned all these things. Maybe I should say that also myself, when I was saying earlier that I'm just so busy in these days, and it's very, very difficult to find time for anything. I mean, by the way, I can say I don't have such thing like weekends. It doesn't exist almost, because I'm talking about this church next. Tomorrow morning I have to be up 7 a.m., right, going to work at 8 Sunday morning, right? It's every week this way. So basically, I'm doing this work at church, at that church. So I'm the music. This is a part-time work, and then another part-time position I have at UNT. Then I have my DMA studies, and then I have my career, right, and my practicing the concerts and all these things. So to put all these things together, it's close to having 2 full-time positions, to be honest.
Yes.
So it's very, very difficult.
I bet. So you are.
But again, I know it's right now at this moment the situation, and I think with my DMA studies definitely better. Yeah, hello.
Okay, you can repeat that last thing you said. I think your computer acted a little strange.
Oh yeah. But so basically, what I was saying was that of course, it's crazy right now doing all these things at the same time. But I think after my DMA studies, I'll have a chance to kind of get things more balanced and just have a bit more time for everything, because to continue like I'm doing it right now, would be a little bit, I think, tough, because really it's like then just nonstop running around and doing different things.
So Hando, when you play Mozart, Liszt, or other Freemasons, do you feel a connection to the composer? Do you think about their masonry?
I do. I mean, of course, especially since the time I became a Mason, right? Because before it was a little bit like, okay, just, great music and so, but definitely, because, Mason is all about, teachings and, about learning new things and becoming better men and all these, great ideas and principles we have, in a way, when you attend lodge, you hear these things all the time, again and again, and these are the great teachings of Masonry, and definitely, these ideas kind of stay with you, and you think about them, and not only when you are in your lodge, but also when you do other things. And I think that's one of the things that's important in Mason, is that you shouldn't just be a Mason.
Well, while you're a priest, I'll explain the reason why I asked it. I'll just throw in a personal anecdote.
In your ratings to better in everything all the time. Pardon me, can you hear me?
Now we can. I was just your computer was acting.
Oh, you lost me.
I was going to say I'll just tell you why I asked it, and then if you can repeat what you just said, please. And this is just a little personal anecdote. I was telling Hando that I also studied music in college, and I threw in Masonry whenever I could. If it was music history class, my presentation was about the magic flute, or how Freemasonry influenced Mozart, or I tried everywhere I can, and every song that I could pick. I was very interested in that part of the lives and works of Freemasons, classical musicians. So tell us again, because your computer was acting up.
Okay, so yes,
if you remember.
When there's a problem with the connection, then I will stop talking. But basically, what I was saying was that, until, of course, from the moment I became a Mason, definitely I've thought about these things more, because my entire thinking has changed. That's the most important thing about Masonry, is that you kind of go through all these different phases in Masonry, and it's all about these historic teachings about becoming better men and doing great things, and just being who you are. And so I think in this, definitely thinking about that then, and taking these ideas. I said earlier that I think important thing in Masonry is not to be a Mason only in your lodge, but also when you do other things,
exactly.
and you just live your life, because these teachings are so great, and they just give you a lot. So very often I do find myself thinking about these things, when I'm not in my lodge, but just practicing or whatever. And then definitely, when I play Liszt's music or Mozart's music, then definitely I sometimes, find myself contemplating on these ideas, like, okay, wow, I see these notes and I hear this music, and they were Masons, so it would be interesting to kind of maybe analyze it even more and to see, okay, maybe, there is some symbolism also in their music that can be connected, to Masonry. And even if you don't find things immediately, I think still the idea of it is definitely there. Because, for example, Liszt, I think Liszt joined Masonry in 1844. He was born 1811. So he was quite young. Meaning that whenever he started composing, of course he started way earlier, but he composed a lot after 1844. So I think then definitely from that point on, the element of Masonry, visibly or invisibly, definitely was present in his music here and there.
Right. Or consciously, or on purpose, or subconsciously. So you can find, the viewers can find Hando's music on Spotify and on iTunes, and you have several albums. But before we go there, tell us, do you plan to, well, I already know the answer a little bit. Tell us about your, what types of music you are planning and to go into now, and that you have gone into, because you have arranged music, you have performed a bit more different styles. Can you tell us about your styles? That was a long question, I know. I hope, did you understand? Should I take it in parts? Okay, tell us about what kinds of music have you played other than classical music? And do you plan to keep on the classical track?
Well, absolutely, and actually under classical music also there are so many different styles. You have romantic music, you have Baroque music, you have contemporary music, and so on. And of course, then you have all these other general styles like pop music and whatever, or different. She likes to do a little bit of everything, and that's why at some point I brought in this pop music theme also to my music, because I just wanted to do other things. In classical music, of course, it's endless what you can do. The list of compositions. I mean, you can try to play everything there is, available, but you need to spend, I don't know, thousands of years to cover it all, because there's so much music. But
Right.
anyway, still, it's in a way all it's kind of one atmosphere talking about classical music. So then to me at some point didn't matter whether I played Beethoven or Liszt or Mozart or Bach or whatever. They're so different, and of course different styles and everything, but still it's some kind of similar atmosphere you always get, right? So and then at some point I just felt that okay, I would really like to turn things now upside down and bring in something completely different. And then I started to look into this arranging thing, and ever since I've continued with it. And this was also already like I think 10-15 years ago when I started with this arranging thing, when I felt that okay, I wanted to do something different, and I've continued with it until now. Of course I still mainly do classical because I just again don't have time, unfortunately, for everything. So with these arrangements, every now and then I arrange new music, but this is of course in a way like secondary thing for me, because I just most of the time of course spend my time on classical music, because very often I play concerts that are based on classical music, because again these are the projects actually that come up. But I always try to add popular music and my own arrangements to the programs I present, and I've done that quite recently actually this with that I always have something that is different from classical music also.
And we'll link below some samples of your music of different styles, so that if you're interested, viewers, you can see. And I see your albums behind you. Can you show us your albums and tell us a little bit about them?
Yep. Yeah, some of them are here, yep. So I have actually, 4 albums here. A few things about these albums, and basically, so the very first album I ever released was this one.
Can you hold it a little closer to the camera? Thank you. Yeah, we see it. Hando Nakhur.
Like this, right? Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah.
So this was the very first one. I'm very excited about that one, because this is really the first time I ever went to a recording studio and tried, what this recording thing was all about. And so some of my very first recordings are on it. Also, already then, by the way, I added one of my arrangements, which is still with me today. One of my favorite songs of all time, by the way. Yeah, Frank Sinatra's "My Way."
So let me stop you there really quick, really quick. For people who don't know about music, what is an arrangement? Can you tell? You basically rearrange a song, right? Can you tell us?
Yeah. Okay. To make it very easy. Basically, a very good question, actually. Yeah, because people think like, what is this arranging thing? So arranging is it's like composing, but not really. So what's the difference? The difference is that if you compose something, that means you start from scratch and you do everything yourself, and you just create a totally new piece of music. In arranging, you do.
Oh, you froze. Well,
Oh my.
well, he comes back. I think. What should I do? I will wait so I don't make him repeat what he's saying now. So we're gonna wait and hear what arranging is, which is arranging a pre-existing piece of music. So, Fred, do you want? Oh, did he come on? Oh, I was gonna say, Fred, do you have any observations, any experiences that you want to talk about with you and Hando?
Well, I've been to a number of his concerts, and they were well attended. They were with an orchestra sometimes, and sometimes with a quartet, and sometimes I've seen him all alone. So I've kind of seen him in, different aspects. I love him with the orchestra, and especially the Rachmaninoff Piano Concerto No. 3. And I've been to Lodge, and he's played at Lodge.
Oh, excellent! That must have. The brothers there must be, so spoiled.
Yeah, it's really quite cool, because the worshipful master will say, and now we're going to have the rendition from Hando Nakhur, whatever his particular what he wants to play for tonight. So that's been quite nice to see. And
well, while we recover Hando, I want to tell our viewers that he has a competitive edge. He has competed a lot. He has won top prizes in competitions all around the world: Estonia, Italy, Greece, Russia, here in the U.S., Canada, and so he's also been on a bit of a diplomatic mission. And thank you, viewers. This is our second time live. And we are really, really trying here.
Well, I want to pause a minute and see if I can get a hold of him on the phone.
Okay, well, I'll stay with the idea here. Hando has been on a little bit of a diplomatic mission, which I hope I get the chance to ask him whether this has been a purposeful mission or whether it has been a side effect of him being an Estonian here, because he has been promoting Estonian culture. He has been awarded the Golden Medal of Merit for promoting Estonian culture, cultural life and music in Canada. Also, the Harold von Mickisch Prize here in the United States, forgive my pronunciation, and the Diplomat of the Nation Certificate of Merit by the Estonian Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Estonian. And he has performed all over the world. I'm just going to throw out some countries. He's been in Italy, Sweden, Germany, Switzerland, Greece, Denmark, Finland, Estonia, France, the Netherlands, Belgium, Costa Rica, Canada, Israel, and Russia. And here in the United States, he has performed in over 20 states. So what else can I talk to you about Hando? Well, we don't have Hando because I don't want to show you more music. And so we are here live, and I have been left alone now with the viewers.
So I just talked to Hando, and he said, "Are you okay?" He says, "I know I'm cut out." He says, "I'm coming back. I'm coming back." He says, "Are you playing some music?"
No, I was just mentioning that I don't want to play music because we lost me last time. So we are going to link the music instead. And what I can do is show a couple pictures of Estonia, of his hometown, actually. That
Yes.
He gave us. You can see it's very, that's like castle looking.
Right.
And then we have another one where you can see the town a little better. This is Tallinn, right?
I'm glad you got the pronunciation down.
Oh,
I'm still going. Look.
Oh, well, I don't know if I got it down. I pronounced it how you would say it in Spanish. And so let me tell you a little bit about his albums. He has several. Hey, he's back. Okay, you tell us about your albums, Hando.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what I was saying, basically, I showed the first one. So how much did you hear, actually?
We heard that it was the first one, and that you did. Oh, you were explaining arranging. You left
explaining arranging. Yeah.
Explain composing, but you did not explain.
With arranging, the thing is that basically you have the melody, of a song, and you just take that melody, and then you compose everything around it, and then that's what I do when I arrange music. I take a melody that I love and I feel I connect with very well. I listen to it many times, and then I start building music around it, and for solo piano, and then that's how my arrangements are created.
Yes, and again, we will link some of your arrangements below, and you can also find it on Spotify and iTunes. Do you also compose, Hando? Yes or no, and why yes or why not?
Well, I think a little bit definitely, because as I said, arranging is not like entirely composing, but actually everything you create around that melody, and then if you actually end up with this final piece and final arrangement, then this is in a way your own composition, but
yes,
it's not 100% because the melody is by somebody else, but the rest of it is yours, and then in a way this is also composing. So I've done this right now, but who knows, maybe one day I would try to compose also something totally new on my own, and then add melodies and everything. So excellent.
Well, keep telling us about your albums.
Well, yeah, so the first one I showed, this was the very first one. That was done then when I was young, and now I'm an old man, okay?
Oh, really old. Yeah. I don't even think you're 30 yet.
Very old, yeah. So that's second CD. That's Deus Ex Clavier. That one came out later, and did actually very well in Germany. I'll say a few words about it in a second. This was actually produced by a record label in Estonia called Estonian Record Productions. Did very well. This was my first bigger project, because the first one, by the way, I actually released myself. I did everything myself. So this was like my own project. But the second one then was with a a very well-known record label in Europe, Estonian Record Productions. And then anyway, this was our first bigger project together, and it did very well in Germany. It was actually named Record of the Year in Germany after it came out. This was, of course, absolutely fantastic news because it was like my first big project, and the fact that it did so well and got great reviews was, of course, really wonderful.
Yes,
and then after that,
I've seen those reviews. We're going to link them too.
okay.
Go on.
Oh yeah, so basically, that was my second, and then my third was, by the way, this is now all my arrangements. So this is a Christmas album which I released some years ago, and I took actually some songs, that I wanted to arrange totally myself, like for example, The Prayer, Celine Dion and Andrea Bocelli, one of my favorite songs. So
I like that one.
Yeah, me too.
I made an arrangement for that, and then at some point, by the way, I even took it a step forward. I wanted to make it bigger, so I wanted to add a string quartet to my arrangement.
Nice.
I talked to another arranger who had to make that happen. And the recording on this CD of that song is me and my twin sister string quartet playing that arrangement of Prayer.
Excellent.
So, mix of things. And then also, actually, I have rearranged some other arrangements there. Of another arranger, a very well-known
say that 5 times fast, please.
I should say it again. So yeah, I have rearranged some arrangements of a composer actually who already made the arrangements earlier, because I love the songs, and then I worked on his arrangements, and then I took these arrangements and actually changed them and rearranged them. So I actually ended up with my own arrangement. So this is a great mix of things actually. And you do different things, and then later, actually, I released a few years later a full book, published arrangements actually of my own arrangements, where I just took the melodies and everything else I added was my own, stuff. So I've done, just different things, and that was that. And the Christmas album, this is then only arrangements that came out already several years ago, and then after that, the latest album. That came out in 2015 is that one here, which is Waltzing Mephisto by the Danube. And also released by Estonian Record Productions. And this one also includes different music, mainly classical, but more variety than Deus Ex Clavier, which was the one I talked about earlier, the second album. The last one has pieces from many different styles, all classical music, but for example, an interesting arrangement, not my arrangement, by the way. Talking about me being a fan of arrangements, I often play arrangements of other people as well, and then I arrange myself. So I'm a big arrangement guy. So basically, and there's a great arrangement on that record of the Blue Danube Waltz.
Oh, love that.
Very recorded because of its difficulty. It's really one of the most difficult arrangements I think in the world. So it took a lot to make that work and to record that piece. So this one is on there, and then classical things like Schumann and Liszt and also some music from Estonia.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Well, while you were away, Hando, I was hoping we would get you back because I was talking about that it seems like you've been in a little bit of a diplomatic mission. Perhaps that is the question. Is this a mission, or is this a side effect of you being an Estonian here in our part of the world? You have been awarded diplomatic awards for promoting Estonian cultural life and music in Canada, United States. I already mentioned which ones, also in Estonia. Is this something that you set out to do purposely? Is the opportunity arose? How did these awards come about?
Well, not really. I mean, I would say that, it should be every Estonian's mission to just let the world know as much as possible, who we are and where we come from and what's our history and what's our tradition in music and in other things, because we're such a small nation and such a small country. So if we don't do that, then who's gonna do it? Right. How many
people live in Estonia? How big is it?
1 million. 1 million
in the whole country.
Whole country. And now imagine that, right? DFW area is 3 million, right?
Yeah.
So interesting. It's tiny. I mean, talking about America's, standards, it's a village.
Yeah.
basically.
Elena, I wonder
So-
if we could go back to the pictures of Estonia that we had, and Hando wasn't
Oh yeah,
with
yeah.
us then.
Hando, we also were showing. We have two pictures to show.
While you were gone,
Okay.
there were pictures, and we wanted to know what they were. And
Yeah. Here we go.
Oh yeah, that's Tallinn.
Yeah, that's your hometown. It doesn't look so
That's my
small.
hometown.
It doesn't look like a tiny town in a country of 1 million people.
Yeah, well, it is small. I mean, small is a relative term, but yeah, basically,
I see
I would say, in
buildings.
1 or 2 days you can do a lot. Yeah, and you can see the whole place. In Manhattan, in one day you just get
so what
through
is this? What is
4 or
this?
5 blocks.
What is this spear thing in the middle? The prominent one. Is that a church? Or
Yeah,
I'm putting you on the spot now.
I think it's in the old town. It's probably one of the historic buildings right next to the main square in the
Yeah.
old town. And it's not a church building for sure.
Yeah. Okay, we have
it's
another
similar,
picture
so-
too, don't we, Elena?
Yeah, we have another one, and then we are nearing the end of our show, actually. And so the other question that we had talked about, the other topic that we had talked about after you tell us about this picture is your competitions. So I'm just telling you ahead of time. Tell us about the picture first, though.
So yeah, what you see, of course, here is also great view of the old town part of Tallinn, right? I mean, it's just a little part of it, one side of it actually. So, but that's what you see a lot in Tallinn, these kind of very old buildings and lots of history there. And you see that top part of that church there, basically, it shows that it's very old and very historic.
So was it a walled city, or what? Why is there a wall there?
Well, yeah, definitely. I mean, long time ago, it was, this kind of, it's that old town part, it was surrounded by these walls to just, be safe.
Excellent. Well, we do want to mention we have great shows coming up. We have for next month, we have Dr. David Harrison, who is a Masonic author and expert in the origins of Freemasonry itself. So we will be reviewing and talking about his book, The Genesis of Freemasonry. And we also have, for April, Patrick Craddock, who is an amazing artist and of handmade Masonic aprons. And so we will be talking about the history of the aprons and also showing his work. And before we say goodbye, Hando, we have our Masonic artifact of the month, which is in video form. So you may lose me, and if you lose me, I will say goodbye ahead of time. And Hando, are you there? I think we lost. No, yes.
But I'm losing a little bit connection. Yeah.
Okay. So I want to say it was a pleasure to have you here. Thank you very much for coming. We appreciate everybody's patience with the show. It is really, the programs and the internet and the cameras, and we do the very best we can. We appreciate your presence. Hando, it was a pleasure to talk to you. Good luck with your work. And well, thank you. Thank
you very much. And it was great to be on the show, and thanks for having me.
Yeah, and stay on the air, Hando. Well,
yes, stay here. We're going to watch we have monthly artifacts videos that we show here, and this is part 2 of a 3-part video series of how Brother Jim Macbeth makes handmade Masonic knives. And if you didn't see part 1, we will link it below. Part 1 was a sort of an overview of what woods he uses and what metals he uses. Part 2, which we're about to see, it's him actually in the workshop. I will skip over, the machinery parts. And if you want to see the full version, we will. It is already actually up on our YouTube channel. And so we will be back to say goodbye. And here we go. If you lose me, thank you, audience, and see you next time.
I'll be here.
Yes. So he works here. Oh, Fred had the opportunity to visit him in his workshop. So this is Fred filming, and this is Texas. This is a very Texan craft, very Texan accent you're about to see.
Okay, now we're in part 2 here. We're out in the shop with Jim Macbeth Knives, and we're going to see how he actually creates a knife from step 1 to right through all the other steps to the last step. So, Jim, let's start off with the first thing you do.
Okay, Brother Fred, thank you. One of the things we have to do before we actually do anything is we have to, since I make all my own knife pins, and that's the things that hold accentuate and hold the wood, if you will, to the handle. The knives that you can see here have holes in them, and so some people just put plain brass pins in them. I have some here that
I am going to interject that I actually went to my kitchen and looked at my knives, my kitchen knives, you know, the fancier ones, not just the plain silver ones, and they all have these knife pins. So that's if you're really interested in seeing this at home, you can go check it out.
could, if I wanted to, just use a brass pin and put in there, but I like to use a little bit of what we call mosaic patterns to my knife pins, and I'll show you that. I buy a lot of different size brass rods, copper rods, tubes, and so forth. And you can see right here, for example, this one is a 3/16 inch tube, and I've actually put a lot of little rods in there. I've got in there, you can't see it right now, but there's a square tube in there. And so what I do then is I apply a vacuum process that pulls epoxy up through this tube, and then I have to actually leave it overnight to, and I've done one right here, for example, that I did yesterday. And so what I do is I take these top and bottom off this, and what's got left is the pin now has got to be just sanded on the bottom and on the top, and this tape removed. And once we've done that, then we wind up with a pin like this one. Now this is a 1/4 inch pin, and it's got a mosaic pattern to it. It's a 1/4 inch brass tube. It's got a 5/8 inch square tube made out of copper in it. So it's going to be a beautiful pin. And I've chosen to use it in this particular knife. And this is my Sidewinder model that I've done quite a few of. But the holes are on the 1/4 inch. So I've got a drill, a little bit bigger holes in that. So I'm going to go over to the drill that I've got set up and place that in the drill press. Put that down there, tighten it in there real good. I've already got the drill bit set up that when I've slowed this down, this has to run at somewhere in like 400 RPMs to cut into metal. Whereas if you're drilling into wood, then it goes in up to 1600 RPMs. So in order to make sure I can do this, I've got to make sure where this is, clamp it down. It's going to take just a couple of seconds. Make sure nothing's moving. The knife's not going to move in the vise, and the vise is not going to move on there. Now, also, you have to apply some cutting oil so that it doesn't burn. So we got that going. So we put this on. As soon as I get this oil and the debris out of the hose. And now we've got a hole where that pin will fit through it very nicely. All right, that takes care of that step of it. Now the next step is to take the choice of wood. This is some exotic wood that I have here. And this is Wingay wood. It's very dark wood, but it's beautifully grained. I just simply put the knife on it, take a pencil, and draw an outline on it, which I've already done for this particular knife. Next I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to the bandsaw, and cut that out. Before I do, like any good chef in a kitchen, in the shop, I need an apron. Things might get a little bit noisy and a little bit messy. Now in my shop, I have a huge dust collector, and I've asked Brother Fred to put his earmuffs on, and I'm going to do the same. I'm going to turn it on, I'm going to go to the saw this out real quick, and then I'll be through with for the next step. It'll take just a second, please. Got through sawing that out. Now I have the left and right sides for the knife. It's going to go onto this particular knife. The next step on this would be to put these and drill holes now through the holes that we just drilled into the knife into these pieces of wood. All right. Once we've done that, then we reach. I'm going to set this knife aside because that's the next step. I've already done that on another knife, like they do in the cooking shows, Brother Fred. I did this, I did a second one, and we're at that next stage. So rather than spend time on that, to show you the next stage, I've got this knife where I've already prepared the handles. Let me get these pins out. So I've already prepared the handles like I did there, and I've already pre-drilled the holes in there. And then if you can see, and maybe you can't see on that very good, but I've also cut some marks inside the area and the sides that's going to go next to the blade itself, the handle, to have additional epoxy. So what I'm going to do now then is to actually glue and put epoxy in there. So that's the next step. And in order to do that, we have a little bow and a little popsicle stick. We take out our epoxy, and we do a 50% mixture. This is the actual resin that's used, and this is the hardener. So it's a two-stage process of getting, it doesn't glue anything until you put the hardener in it. And so that's a 50-50 mixture to do that. Once we've done that, we have to mix it up. And when you mix it up, it turns an opaque color. Again, I should be wearing gloves for this. I actually have a pair of gloves there, rubber gloves, surgical gloves, because this stuff is hard to get off your hands. Okay, so I'm going to take one side of this, and I'm going to lather the side with this epoxy, and make sure I've got a little bit on the end. And then I'm going to actually put that on the side of the knife, and I'm going to put this pin in that one, and that pin in that one. So next thing I do is the other side. Get that lathered up real good, and some on the end. And once I've done that, then I can set it back down, put these pins in there, and then I take some clamps that are specially made for knife making. I've got two of them right here. And what we do is we put, if I can remember which way is which, you have to clamp these down for that epoxy. It has to be about 24 hours. They say you can do, they say you can do it in less than that. I don't. I want to make sure it sets up really, really well. Once we've done that, this is all I can do to this particular knife. So I get it really good and tight, and I have to wipe off the excess that squeezes out on the bolster area of this knife. Otherwise, I'll be having to take a knife after it's all said and done, and it takes a little time to get that mess off. So there's that. We've gone through the process of getting the pins made, of cutting out, getting the holes cut out, getting the handles prepared on the inside, then the actual epoxy and gluing process. This sets up overnight. Now, I did one yesterday for this visit with Brother Fred, and I'm now taking the clamps off of it, and I'll show you this knife so you can have a better idea. And this is a beautiful, if you look at this exotic wood here, this is called black limba. It's exotic wood, and I believe this one's out of, I want to say Africa. Again, it's real pretty. Now there's some pins you can see from the side. I got some pins that are sticking through. I got to cut those off. So I'm going to go over here to where I can put this in a vise. And turn this on. You can see now those pins are cut off pretty much close to the wood. So the next step is to go through a process, and we'll go over back to this big heavy duty sander I have. We're going to turn the dust collector back on again, so you'll see me putting on the headphones again, earmuffs. Fashion the handle a little bit more than just being straight across. We fashion to where the grip is going to be a lot better. And you can see the ends now on the knife. And these have already been finished, they're polished. And so the next step would be to totally get over here on the sander again and take this all the way down to the spine of the knife, all the way down to here, so that this is all flush here. And in doing that, the next step would be then is the long process of file work and so forth. Now what I'm going to show you is one that we've already done. And I'll sit down and show you that, if that's okay, my friend. You'll notice for this knife, we've already done the same thing. And we've taken that down to the spine, all the way to the knife. Okay, you can see that I taped up the edge of the blade and the bolster area, the finger guard. I actually yesterday went ahead and got this rough, sanded rough.
Oh, that was the end of that part. But
and you're still with us.
I'm still with you, really, but you cannot see me.
I want to remind everybody that Phoenix Masonry is doing a raffle on one of Jim Macbeth's knives. And for small investment, you might be the winner of a beautiful Masonic knife. So go to our Facebook page and get the information necessary to sign up for that raffle.
Yes, and thank you.
And I also want to remind everybody that Hando's music and a lot of information about Hando can be garnered from his website, www.handonakhur.com.
Link below too. And once again, we hope to see you next month for our interview with Dr. David Harrison, and then the month after that with our interview with Patrick Craddock. And so, Hando, once again, we're here to say goodbye. Thank you so much.
Great
awesome.
interview.
Yes, awesome to have you in Freemasonry and to have been able to talk to you.
Stay after we close out, Hando, and we'll have some remarks. But to everybody that's watching, thank you for being with us, and another great talent has come your way today.
And that's all we have for you this time.
So I am Frederick L. Milliken, Executive Director of Phoenix Masonry.
And Elena Llamas, Director of Public Relations for Phoenix Masonry.
Parting on the Square.
Pots.